What's going on, everybody? Welcome to part two of games that I've made using the War of the Visions catalog of models and stuff like that. Um, I once again have failed to release this in a timely manner. I think it's taken me probably over a month or two to come up with part two. This game has been done. I don't know what delayed me. It was actually on an older laptop. That's probably what delayed me because I go to do something and then I get distracted and I don't end up doing what I'm trying to do. So long story short, I moved this from my old laptop to my new laptop, and then for whatever reason, it took even like 2 or 3 more weeks to move it to my main PC where I am right now. Okay, so this game is actually the first game that I tried to make with any kind of War of the Visions uh, character models. This was just me messing around. I kept messing around with the stuff until I got it to work what I wanted to. So this game is kind of starring none other than Thunder God Cidolfus Orlandeau himself. Yes, his name is Cidolfus. That's the full name for Cid. Who knew? So Cidolfus Orlandeau. The goal of this game actually started making this game when Delita and Agrius first came out. So that gives you a context to when I started this. Um, I think I learned, this is why I love this game so much, is that I think I just learned so much from using these character models and trying to use them in Unity and trying to make a game out of them. So yeah, this is why I'm like so happy to talk about this. Okay, I'm talking way too much. I apologize for that. But basically, my idea for this game, let me get this moving. So you're going to see a couple of things here. All right, so this is what the game looks like. And don't mind this. I don't know why this is here. You could hide that for now. Okay, so the idea of the first idea I had for this game is, you guys remember in War of the Visions, like let's say you have a paladin, and like let's say you had Ravias, and let's say you had Charlotte, well, maybe not Charlotte. Let's say you had Titus, or let's say you had Engelbert, right? They all had the same animation. So like they would have one arm up with the shield and one hand holding the sword back. You know, the same thing applied for every person of the same job. So like if they had that as as their main job, they would have the same animation. So I wanted to see, like I kind of already knew how to do animation, but I wanted to see if I could get one animation on one character and apply it to another character. So that's kind of what I did here. I started with Orlando, Cid, whatever you want to call him. I started with him, and let me pause this because I see that it's creating a bunch of random enemies. So as you can see here, I equipped Orlando with a Nagnarok. I don't know if you guys remember the asset for that sword, but this is the Nagnarok. I'm fairly certain. Um, the idea that I wanted to do for this game is literally to have a live action game where you run around and you kill enemies, and you can literally farm for the recipes of the Nagnarok or whatever item you have. And obviously, this is why I'm saying I made this around FFT2 re-release with Delita and Agrius, because though that's what was on my mind at the time: the Nagnarok, farming for the Nagnarok, the Chocobos, Orlando, etc. So I used those assets to try to just make the game where the whole point of the game is just to farm for recipes for the Nagnarok till you get to 63, whatever, and then you beat the game, whatever. Also had the idea of like you could do like a battle once you get the sword to the +5, you can do a battle, and then once you have the +5 sword, then you can just win. It's like not an instant win, but that's gonna be what pushes you over the edge to win the battle. Like otherwise, you can't beat the battle. Of course, this is just my ideas in my mind. Okay, so like I was saying, sorry, I get distracted very easily. The idea of the game was to be able to put the animation on Orlando and then transfer the animation over to Mont, like without having to do anything. I just wanted to see if I could do that. 100% worked, and my bad, guys. The speed is a little slow. I don't know why it's like that. It's a little bit slow when I move from my laptop to, frick, I didn't fix this. Let me pause it here. Okay, guys, my bad. I fixed it. This is a problem with going between computers. It's a problem that I always used to run into, and I would get stuck. And this is why I never finish anything, because I would get stuck. But over all this time, all the years, whatever it's been, I figured out how to fix a lot of things. So again, that's why I'm so thankful for this game, for allowing me to learn along the way. Okay, so you can see there the Chocobo's a little slower. I forgot to fix him. And I keep getting Hikonian here. I was using Hikonian for another game. Never mind him. Okay, so as you guys can see now, Orlandeau and Mont are kind of moving at a more normal speed. The Chocobo's a little slow. Okay, so as you can see, Mont and Orlandeau are pretty much in sync, same animation, same everything. So goal number 1 already accomplished there. Whenever you swing the sword, boom, same exact sword swinging animation, boom, right? All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to take from War of the Visions, is just like being able to use the same animation for different characters. Essentially, whatever game you make, let's say it's a fighting game, they're going to share some of the same moves, like a punch or whatever. So why not learn how to have them share some of the same animation? So I, years later, I have that down pat. I know how to work with that now. So thankfully, I was able to experiment with that a little bit. Okay, so if you see the Chocobo, the site that I use for animations is for humanoid characters. So the Chocobo's animation, so I do have an idle animation. It doesn't really move all that much on Mont and Orlandeau, but the Chocobo's idle animation, I had to make that myself. So that is a purely made by me animation. You can see how he kind of bobs his head. Okay, so let's start the game over. So one of the things I learned the old way, when I was learning to make these games, is there are 2 different ways to make a character, a rigid body and a character controller. The rigid body is really annoying because physics applies to it automatically, and like sometimes it's just kind of hard to fix. So yeah, another reason why I was so late with making this is because my characters would just randomly start flying away. Okay, so you can see the Chocobo is kind of bobbing his head a little bit and moving his tail. 100% I made that animation. It's very simple animation. All I did was kind of tilt his head back and forth. He can run. Again, I made that animation too. But again, you can see his legs are just going back and forth, so that wasn't necessarily too hard. All right, and you can see his head is kind of moving side to side with that kind of the same speed as his legs. Okay, the reason you can tell this, the way you can tell that it's not like a professional animation, is because if the Chocobo would be running, it would probably tilt his head forward or something like that, which you could probably see in Final Fantasy VII Chocobo races. Okay, so all that being said, let me reset the Chocobo because this is kind of getting annoying. I apologize for this. So again, my characters might fly away for no reason. That's fine. You might see some of the Chocobos back here fly away. So these Chocobos in the back are the enemy Chocobos. They act a little bit differently. Whenever you get close to them, they will start running towards you. So that is to kind of simulate, when you're in like an adventure game or whatever, enemy sees you, they start attacking you. This doesn't really start attacking you. He just kind of runs towards you, and you see how he's pushing Orlandeau back. So it could potentially happen that the physics kind of break and Orlandeau starts flying away. That's okay. We reset that. So again, I made this like years ago at this point. I know the fix for it now, but that's kind of what the game is. I didn't want to modify it too much, and Hikonian keeps coming back. All right, so notice that when I walk into the Chocobo, there's okay, he kind of knocked me into the floor. So Chocobo doesn't die. It's kind of what I want you to see. So there's no collision detection. Even if the sword kind of goes through the Chocobo, there's no collision detection. He doesn't die. Okay, so when I swing the sword, however, boom, I kill the Chocobo. And so that cylinder right there is just supposed to be the placeholder for a scroll of the Nagnarok, whatever weapon you want it to be. Okay, so I have like a spawner here that is spawning Chocobos every like 5 seconds. I think there's a spawner as soon as you get close, it spawns a Chocobo. So I think I have 3 different spawners here. I forgot what the other one does. So I could essentially just kill And I don't condone killing chocobos, but the chocobo was just the first monster that I took, and I just kind of used him. Okay, so you can see, I don't know where Mont went, but you can see that whenever I attack, oh, whoa, little bit of a glitch there. So whenever I attack one of these enemy chocobos, they just explode or whatever, and they turn into some shape. I made a bunch of random different shapes just to kind of simulate like different drops. And you can see the physics is going crazy. Again, that's something that I would fix if I had more time, if I wanted to spend more time in this. But yeah, that's essentially what the game is supposed to be. Like, you just go run around killing. You know, wouldn't just be chocobos. It would probably be some of the other enemies. But I didn't really spend time doing the animations for them. I could essentially like try to go after all these chocobos, try to kill them all. You know, not again. I don't condone like animal violence or anything like that. They are just a placeholder monster. So, boom. So that's pretty much what the game is in its current state. The idea was to, you know, you can't even collect these items. Again, if I had time, I already know how to collect items and, you know, keep track of that stuff and all that and whatnot. The other thing I wanted to mention here was this stage is one of the maps in War of the Visions. You have the ability to get these out of the game and kind of just use them. You can use the textures. You can, you know, have fun with it. The only thing is that when you take these stages out, some of the textures are not the right texture at all. So like, I think most of them are actually pretty good. I think the tree and whatever rock this is are the wrong texture, but you have to kind of manually go through and fix everything. So again, this is something else that I wanted to work on in this with this game with the asset to make videos of, but I had so much trouble working with these textures. And yes, you can fix the textures. It's just it takes a while. You have to do it one at a time. And yeah, it's just a lot of work. So I think right now what's happening is that they have like the grass texture, and they're supposed to have transparency, but they don't. So it kind of just looks like cardboard or something. But normally you would put the correct texture on with alpha transparency. You can see actually it's a little bit transparent, but not really. And then it would be in the shape of leaves or whatever. So that's what it would be. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I have, for, you know, legal purposes, I have to say this game is not for distribution, not for sale. This is just art. This is just fair use. I'm just using this to learn. I literally learned a lot using this, so I'm just using this to learn for myself. This will not be commercially available. Square Enix, Gumi, whatever, do not come after me because I am not distributing this. I'm just using this for learning purposes and for entertainment purposes only, of showing people on YouTube. Again, there's no download link for this, and I don't really intend to make one. Okay, especially when it's this glitchy. I just got knocked off. But in theory, I could potentially work on this more. Not that I would Square or Gumi, not that I'm doing that, but I could potentially work with something similar to this. How about I say that? Something similar to this, and kind of just make a similar game where it's kind of just like a simulation of farming a +5 weapon, because we also miss doing that of what we used to do so much on our daily lives of playing War of the Visions. Oh, and the reason that when that happens, when multiple things pop up like that, it's because it's actually spawning another chocobo and like multiple chocobos in a row, I guess. And each one of them is getting killed, and then it just spawns multiple things. So what I was gonna say, one of the things that I really wanted to learn, and I just learned recently, is how to, because I'm gonna use this in one of my classes, how to only activate the sword during a certain frame. So while your character is swinging, that's the only time the sword is active. So I don't know if I could really show this. I had to modify like the animation. It was crazy, but I managed to do it. Like, I had an idea of how to do it, but like actually doing it was kind of crazy. Let's see. I don't remember how to bring this up. Sword slash. Right. So Oh, you can't see this? Let me see if I could pop it in here. Okay, now you can see it. So basically this is like a timeline like you would have in any like video editing software, and I think it goes frame by frame. So at each frame those are kind of like points where the whatever part of the body is moving. I know this sounds complicated, but you see how it says right shoulder rotation. So every point the rotation changes to a different rotation. I didn't make all of this. I just rotated the arm and it kind of just auto recorded. So it just keeps track of what the position, the location, the rotation of each thing. So what I had to do was I had to go to, I guess it was, yeah, right arm. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, so it says right arm there, and then it has a spot for the weapon. You put the weapon there, and as you can see, that says the way the Nagnarok is labeled is FFT tactics weapon sword 002. So I guess it's the second sword from Final Fantasy Tactics, and then it's not called the Nagnarok. That's what it's actually called. And then it has the collider, and all I'm doing is enabling it for certain frames. I don't even remember how I did this. I did this like probably a week or two ago. I don't remember how I did this, but these dots indicate that it's on and then it's off at a certain point. That's pretty much what it's doing. So I figured all that stuff out with the help of like online tutorials and whatnot, like documentation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think this, honestly, like for the first game I made, this is probably the better of the games that I made. That little archery game that I showed last time, I'm not sure if people really like understood like that was a, you know, the soldier from Leonis and that was Liart. But like this, I'm truly like actually using Orlandeau here. I'm actually using Mont, and you know I can switch the main character to be Mont. The camera follows Orlandeau. Mont is just kind of there, but I'm pretty sure Mont can already kill the Chocobo. Don't quote me on that. Actually, let me go ahead and move Mont up first. I don't think they react to Mont, so he should have free reign. Oh, so I don't think Mont can actually kill the Chocobos. But that's okay. Apparently, Orlandeau can't kill the Chocobos either. There you go. So yeah, that collision thing is baked into the animation, and then I'm able to just activate the sword only during certain frames. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a couple of other game slash animation slash some stuff that I still want to post. I don't know when I'm going to post them. I honestly don't know where they are or how many I have. I have an idea of how many I have, but I guess I'll see that whenever I get to that point. So I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll see you guys in a month. Maybe I'll see you in a week. Who knows? So if you watched this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you again in the next one. And I think this is going to be my next few videos is just going to be me posting these. And then I'm going to try to figure out what else I'm going to do on this channel. All right, guys. So good to see you if I haven't seen you in a while. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.